Hello, you're on Power Spot. I'm George. Welcome back to this series on building a reusable set of Terraform modules. And today, I will be making the necessary changes to create a reusable Terraform module for my RDS resources. And so if this series and the content of this channel lines up with your interests, hit the subscribe button and join me in this journey of learning by doing. So, let's start coding. In today's exercise, I will try to achieve the following. So firstly, create a Git repository for the reusable module for RDS resources. Update the names and labels from being too specific to generic. And then I need to make the workspace prefix for my RDS generic. And then publish a private module registry in Terraform Cloud. And then lastly, I need to integrate my Terraform module to my ECS project. So let's start creating a new Git repository for my RDS Terraform module. So on my terminal, similar to how I set up my ASG Terraform module, I will run some Git commands to extract a specific directory from the Git repository that I created for the series on ECS for container orchestration. And because I need to create this eventually as a private module inside my Terraform registry, I will set the name of this repository to start with Terraform-AWS. And now I will cd to this new directory. And because I only need the db directory inside my source repository, I will run this git command. Before I start launching my VS Code and start making the code changes, I will clean up the git cache on this local repository and then reinitialize git on this project. And now I will launch my VS Code and start making code changes. All my Terraform code are sitting inside this db directory right here. I want the root of this repository to be the root of my Terraform module, so I'll move all these files into the root of this repository. And now I can go ahead and delete this db directory. The first step is done. The next step is to update names and labels in my Terraform code. So similar to what I did with my ASG module, I will head to my variables.tf. And in here, I will define a new variable and call it system name, which will be my indication of the application that the infrastructure is created for. And then on my main.tf, the first thing I will do is replace the name of my RDS cluster resource right here and replace WordPress to something more generic. And I also need to make sure that any reference to this resource is updated as well. So what I will do is search for AWS RDS cluster.wordpress and then replace this string right here. What I will do next is head to the top of this file and highlight the word WordPress and then press Ctrl D until all the references to the word WordPress is highlighted. And now I can go ahead and replace that to a reference to my new variable. The next step is to update the workspace prefix on my backend.tf. So let me open my Explorer and open my backend.tf. And I need to remove reference to WordPress inside my prefix field. Moving on to the next step, which involves publishing my Git repository as a private module in my Terraform Cloud account. But before I do that, I need to validate my Terraform code to make sure that I didn't break anything. So I'll head to my terminal and then run terraform init and validate. So the validation went through with no issues. And if I head to my VS Code Explorer, the Terraform cache directory is created. So I'll create a git ignore file to exclude this from being pushed remotely. I also don't need my Terragrunt configuration file in here, so let me go ahead and get rid of that. And now I'm going to stage and commit my changes to my local repository. So let me head to my terminal. And now I'm going to head to my browser and then access my GitHub account and create a new repository with the same name I used for my local repository. And then switch to my VS Code. And now that I have synced up my local repository with my remote repository, let me head back to my browser and refresh this page. And then head to the releases section to create a release. On the tag field, I will set this to 0.0.1 and then set the release title to initial version. And then head down to this page and click Publish Release. Now that I have a release ready to be published, I'll head over to my Terraform Cloud account and then open the appropriate organization and then click the registry section right here. And then all the way to the right of this page, I'll select Publish Module and then select the pre-configured GitHub integration and then select the repository that I want to publish and then click Publish Module. With my new private Terraform module for RDS, I can now update the DB component on my existing ECS project to integrate with this module. So let me switch to my terminal. And in here, I will switch to the directory that points to the GitHub repository for my ECS. And then launch VS Code from here. And I need to make sure that I have the latest code locally, so I'll head to my terminal and run git pull. And then I'm going to create a branch for today's changes. And now if I head back to my VS Code Explorer, the component that I'm changing here is the DB directory. And then I'll open my Terragrunt configuration file. I added a new variable called system name in the module, which means I need to pass this as an input variable. And then on my Terraform block, I need to update the source property in here to point to my new private module in my Terraform registry. And then on my VS Code Explorer, I can then start deleting all the TF files inside the DB directory. And now I can go ahead and spin up my infrastructure stack. So let me head to my VS Code terminal, and I will set my AWS credentials and my default Terraform workspace. So I have now exported my AWS credentials and my default Terraform workspace. And for my Terragrunt to be able to read my private Terraform module, I need to export an environment variable that will contain my Terraform API token. And because I've made changes to how the Terraform workspace is created, I need to create the new workspace for my DB component. And because I've only made changes to the DB component, I'm going to attempt a Terragrunt plan inside the DB directory. The plan looks good, so now I'm going back to the root of my repository and then apply my entire infrastructure stack. My Terragrunt apply was successful, and now all that's left for me to do is verify if my WordPress application is still accessible after my changes to the DB component. So let me switch to my browser and then access my WordPress website. And that still works. And that's it. So far, I've made reusable Terraform modules for my auto-scaling group and RDS resources. Next time, I will look into the ECS module. I need to revisit the implementation of the containers on this project, but we'll do that together next time. In the meantime, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below and send me some likes if you find this useful. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you like the content on this channel. Until next time, keep learning and stay safe.